Today we're going to look at prime and composite numbers. The way I'd like to do that is we're going to start by finding factors of two numbers or common factors of two numbers. The numbers I'm going to work with today are 7 and 15. Now you can do this a couple of different ways. I like to use a T-chart, and Miss Mitchell likes to use the listing method.
Yes, I do.
So for the listing method, the factors of 7 are 1 and 7. Up on my T-chart, I just put them next to each other. For 15, it would be 1 and 15. And it would also be 3 and 5. If we were doing common factors, we'd notice that the 1s are in common. And that would be their only common factor. So if we were doing a GCF, or greatest common factor, that would equal 1. But for today, we're actually looking at the amount of factors that they have. And you'll notice that 7 only has 2 factors, 1 and 7. So 2 factors. This is going to come in useful in just a second. And you'll notice that 15 actually has 4 factors, or more than 2 factors. Nice sloppy handwriting. Okay. And this is going to be important when we talk about prime and composite numbers. So let's talk about that. A prime number A prime number is going to be any number with exactly 2 factors, 1 in itself. So for example, when we were doing that 7 a second ago, we've got a 7, it's got 2 factors of 1 and 7. What would be another example of a prime number, Miss Mitchell?
What about 5?
Okay. Oops. 5 factors are going to be 1 and 5, or Mrs. Mitchell's little listing method, 1 and 5. How about another one? Let's see. How about 13? 13 is going to be 1 and 13. 1 and 13. How about, Miss Mitchell, how about 25? Would that be a prime number?
Well, I've noticed that all the other examples are odd numbers, and 25 is an odd number. Do all odd numbers mean that they're prime?
It's a good question. Let's see about 25. So if we were breaking it down, we know 1 and 25. So that fits it. A prime number is any number with exactly 2 numbers, 1 in itself. So we do have 1 in itself. But we also can do 5 times 5. So that's going to give us how many factors?
3.
3 factors. So this would be no bueno. 25 is not a prime number.
So just because it's odd doesn't mean it's prime.
No, ma'am.
I'm learning so much today.
Well, good. At that point, let's talk about a composite number. A composite number is any number with more than 2 factors. For instance, 25 that we talked about just a second ago is going to have 1 and 25 and then 5 times 5. So that has more, if I can write on it, never mind, more than 2 factors. Another example may be, here's a tricky one. How about 33?
That is tricky.
33 is 1 and 33. It's definitely an odd number, but we found out that really doesn't matter when you're talking about prime and composite numbers. So what's another way to get 33? Or is there another way to get 33? Miss Mitchell?
Well, I know 2 can't be a factor because it's not an even number.
Okay.
But I also know that 3 times 11 is 33.
Aha.
You tried to trick me.
I did. So 33 actually has 4 factors, which would be more than 2, so it is also a composite number. Some other examples may be, let's pick some nice easy ones, would be 100, because we know you could do 1 and 100. You could do 2 times 50, 4 times 25, 5 times 20, 10 times 10. Did I miss any there? We'll hope not. So it is definitely a composite number. So let's review. Remember that a prime number is going to have only 2 factors, and one of those factors is always going to be 1. And a composite number has more than 2 factors. So it will have 1 in itself, but it'll have an additional factors as well. The last thing that we need to talk are special numbers. Here we'll actually say special numbers. Whoops. Special numbers. There they're nice and easy. Special numbers would be, and I guess the main one we want to talk about today is the number 1. Okay, isn't that a pretty one? It's either a 1 or a hangman. I can't really tell. So our 1 is special because it is not a prime or a composite number. A prime number has to have 2 factors, right? And a composite number has to have more than 2 factors. Oops, forgot the end. The number 1, if we were going to list out the factors of number 1, would be 1 times 1. If I was doing a T-chart, it would be 1 times 1, which those two numbers are the same. So it doesn't have 2 factors, and it doesn't have more than 2 factors. It only has
1 factor.
1 factor. So that makes it special. Okay, 1 is actually called, a fancy word, it's called a unit, or unit. So that makes it special. So hopefully we've helped you with prime, composite numbers. Oh, I forgot another special number. Thank you, Miss Mitchell.
We can't forget about that.
We can't forget about our other special number. What is our other special number?
The number 2.
The number 2. Why is the number 2 special?
Well, as we've talked about before, all even numbers are composite because they're all divisible by 2. However, if we were to list the factors for the number 2,
However,
our factors of 2 would just be 1 and 2. So that follows the rules of a prime number. Exactly 2 factors. So that means our special number 2 is the only even number that is prime.
say that again.
The number 2 is the only even number that is prime.
All right. My beautiful handwriting. Now are we all done?
I think so. We'll get back if we're not.
Sweet pickles.